大家好，香港時間11點10分收睇緊嘅係 Action World 世界頻道同埋 Facebook 直播，希望大家支持我哋世界嘅製作，透過 patreon.com/action 或者我哋嘅宗教節目捐贈平台 givesandgo.com/CFHK 等我哋有更加多嘅資源，走最遠嘅路。今日咧請嚟嘅互動嘉賓咧就係有 Shannon Vincent， 咁佢係 CFHK 嘅策略顧問啦。Sharon, it's a pleasure to have you appearing at the Action World for the first time, and I hope I can invite you to come back up once in a while.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Actually, you are the fourth guest from CFHK, and the reason why we are having this talk, it's because it's very close to June 4th. Something happened 36 years ago. A lot of people do commemorate about the unfortunate incidents of Tiananmen, and then you also spend some time working in China, right? Maybe you can give us our audience a little bit about your background and what is your involvement with CFHK. As I know, like my friend Mark Clifford heads up this initiative, which is to defend Hong Kong's core values. But tell us a little bit more about your background.
Sure. Yeah. So I've had a long and adventurous career in China. I moved to China, to Beijing in 2006. And initially, my first 2 years in China, I worked for CCTV. So that's a whole other long story, how I got a job there. But I was a host and a producer of a documentary show on government policy for CCTV and traveled widely throughout China to about 20 provinces during the course of my career there. Reporting on all aspects of China policy. I left CCTV in 2008 after just 2 years, and then I reported for American media, PBS Television, CBS News, later NPR, and also made documentaries in addition alongside that work. And my work during those years, after leaving CCTV, primarily focused on human rights. I was very interested in vulnerable populations, rule of law, what human rights is, what that means within mainland China, how it was being addressed. And so I reported on various issues, such as the plight of North Korean refugees, the detention of dissidents in mental hospitals in China, Chinese and US investment in Africa, and a number of other issues as well. I moved to Hong Kong in 2015. I spent 2 years there. I had previously covered the umbrella movement, and I continued my reporting in Hong Kong during those 2 years. But by the time I left Beijing, I could feel a shift around 2012 with the change in power. And the growth and some of the openness that I had enjoyed and experienced in the years prior began to change. And I observed in mainland China crackdown on lawyers, human rights activists, artists, and those crackdowns increasingly came into my circle of people that I knew. And so that shifted my view to some extent of China. And then in Hong Kong as well, once I moved there in 2015, I felt a growing chill. I could feel the openness of the society changing while I was there. So I moved to the United States in 2017. I worked for NPR as a newscast anchor, an anchor of the hourly news updates. And I also began studying around this time propaganda from China, also from the Kremlin in Moscow. I was fascinated, I think, because of my time at CCTV with the power of media to shape society and to manipulate. So I began just studying it informally. And then I moved to Amsterdam at some point after that, where I focused primarily on studying Russian disinformation, and I worked for Politico. And then eventually came back here and am now working for CFHK. Mark Clifford invited me to work for CFHK, and I was just really honored by the opportunity. I had interviewed Jimmy Lai previously in 2020, and found him to be characteristically brave in his outspokenness, his willingness to tell the truth, to speak his mind, and of course had followed his case. And really what CFHK stands for, what we try to do is advocate for the release of Hong Kong's nearly 1,000 political prisoners. And whenever I state that figure, a lot of people are shocked that there are so many people who remain in jail kill in Hong Kong for political reasons. But it's also a story about information and about the crackdown on media and the information war that we're in, and the PRC or the CCP's attempts to crush people like Jimmy Lai, publishers, newspapers, journalists, who offer information or news or a lens that is different than what Beijing wants at this period of time.
But you know, I shouldn't use the word consequence, but it seems like those who work at CFHK is very likely someone could be on the bounty list, especially if you were born in Hong Kong, and fortunately you were born not outside of Hong Kong, so you won't face that issue, right? Well, two of your colleagues are now on the bounty list, if I'm correct, right? Francis and also Chloe.
That's absolutely right. I have two colleagues on the bounty list, and of course, we know that 19 democracy advocates worldwide, I believe, have been bountied. Not only that, but faced death threats, faced letters being sent to some of their neighbors, asking their neighbors to provide information on them and deliver them to the Chinese embassies. So those are pretty frightening moves, and I myself have not faced those consequences, and I know, in a way, I'm in a place of privilege. I'm an American, and but China and Hong Kong were a really big part of my life, so I'm very excited to be of support and help both my colleagues and the people as a whole.
Right. I don't think we should be too afraid about who is going to be next on the bounty list, as long as we speak the truth for Hong Kong. And as I told you before we go on there, when we had some more casual conversation back a few months ago, we are organizing the World Hong Kong Forum, and hopefully, we hope one day we can organize the forum back in Hong Kong, bring a group, people from US, Canada, UK, and whatnot, right? Because we just want Hong Kong's core values could be intact again, right? So I guess nothing to be afraid of. Now, talking about also CFHK, you were ahead of strategy. Strategy is very important, especially if you want to push some policies forward. As you can see from this thumbnail on the upper right-hand corner, we have a very well-known broadcaster in the Western world, Hugh Hewitt, was talking with President Donald Trump about releasing Jimmy Lai, and President Trump says that yes, he will do something about it. But it seems like after he has been in office for more than 100 days, nothing much is heard about the strategy, or even from your role. Do you contact people from DC, Marco Rubio, who is a strong proponent for Hong Kong's democracy? Anything has been done, or something that's not too secretive? Can you share it with our audience?
Well, we know that Trump and Rubio, they want Jimmy Lai to be released, and we're really grateful for Trump's statements in that regard. And I know that Rubio has been a longtime supporter of democracy in China and countering the CCP. So I think that this issue would be very close to his heart, and we're grateful for all the support that we can get. Tensions right now between the US and China are very fraught. So this is one of many issues, of course, that they are all looking at, negotiating. But we hope that it continues to remain at the forefront and a priority for the administration.
So definitely, you think this is no kidding. When Marco Rubio talks about Jimmy Lai as a top priority for the U.S. policy, so it is indeed not just talk, right? And something he is really working on. Like with Wang Wenzhou and then the two Michaels, that's a Canadian issue, of course. Seems like the Canadians do it in a quiet way, and then there's some sort of a political swap. But of course, Jimmy Lai to a lot of Hong Kong people and to the Catholic world and to the people who believe in democracy, it's a much bigger thing to a lot of us. And seems like Beijing won't budge. I mean, if they lose a Jimmy Lai, then there's less bargaining chip from Beijing. I don't know. What do you think?
Could be, but actually, I think if they release Jimmy Lai and the other political prisoners, that would be one of the best things that China could do, not only because I want them to, and because CFHK and maybe many viewers of this show want them to, but because it's really the best thing for China. It's in China's interest, because I know that in a previous chapter, China's economy was growing. Now China's economy is really in decline. They're really struggling with economic growth. They're dealing with the tariffs as well from the United States. And then more broadly and even more powerfully, China is dealing with this perception around the world that it is the #1 security threat, and that China and Beijing, the CCP, is out of step right now in terms of the values and the interests and the priorities of the rest of the world. And not only us here in the US, but in Canada, in Europe, globally, with its neighbors in Asia. So by releasing Jimmy Lai and the other nearly 1,000 political prisoners, China would signal to the world that, oh, we are moving in a different direction, in a more open direction, and in a direction that is truly in favor of business, economic development, being a real partner to the world.
And I know next month, June 10th, which is a Tuesday late afternoon to early night in the evening, we will be having a gathering, the World Hong Kong Forum, meaning us, people from our channel, will be joining you actually for some talk, because you have done a lot, definitely in the UK and in DC, and I think CFHK is also exploring some more work in Ottawa, if I'm correct.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I lead the foundation's work in Canada. I'll be up in Ottawa next week. So I'll be meeting with members of parliament and other policymakers, journalists there. And Canada is a really important place to us. I mean, there's a huge Hong Kong population in Canada, a lot of Canadians in Hong Kong. Canada is impacted by a lot of these dynamics with China, with the PRC, more than a lot of other countries around the world. The detention of Michael Kovrig is one example. So we are bringing our case and all of the issues we're advocating for to Canadian policymakers. And I traveled to Ottawa twice last fall already and found a really receptive, very supportive audience. So we're just really excited to expand our work in Canada.
You met up with some of the MPs as well, but they are not in session yet right now.
No, but they're back next week.
Yeah.
King Charles, of course, will open the parliament. So I'll be back next week, their first week, and I'll be meeting with all of them and presenting our agenda for the year ahead. And yeah, we're really looking forward to working with them.
Okay. So you will come up to Canada twice, I guess. You'll go next week, and then we're seeing you on the 10th, right? So
That's
we'll
right.
be quite busy. Yeah. Regarding your time in Beijing, right? And then you left, and then you spent some time overseas trying to understand infiltration and whatnot. Is it more of a wake-up call for you? Because you were a reporter back then at CCTV, and then now you are doing something totally quite different, defending core values, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Is there a struggle within yourself? I mean, doing two things that are 180 degrees different.
It's true. In some ways it's quite different. In other ways it's not. I mean, when I first went to China in 2006, I had a spirit of humanity and trying to understand another culture, another country, another country's perspective. And I was always interested in human rights, but my mentors at ABC News at the time advised that I spend 2 years at CCTV and learn as much as I could about China, then return to American media. So my values were always the same, but I would say my values while I was in China became stronger, partly because I so enjoyed meeting and working with the Chinese people, and I care about the people of China, just like I care about the people of the United States. And as I observed the increasing controls in China, it made me even more passionate about these issues and wanting to fight for them. So I think having that front row seat in terms of how things work in China, and also the tightening and the crackdowns that I observed while I was in the mainland and then in Hong Kong, did sharpen my focus, and I think I just have a much more in-depth understanding of the different layers of Chinese engagement and how different societies operate. So so I've always, though, operated, I mean, even from 2006 to 2008, with a spirit of humanity and respect for the people that I was working with. But it's partly because I care about these different societies that I think there's a better path possible, and China right now is not on the best path.
Right. Okay. So once again, for the listening audience, Shannon will be in Toronto, Canada on the 10th. Late afternoon, we will have a session with Shannon. Get to know what she is doing in Ottawa, things that she could disclose, things that you cannot disclose, no need to share with us. But it would be good to reconnect with CFHK. I do talk to Mark and Francis quite a bit, but now you are already on there. I guess what's going on a few months down the road with the Alliance group. Definitely, I already told Mark that we would like to have a CFHK's involvement because it's a very big deal. The one very big trial that will start at the end of this year. Yeah, and then because they fight so hard for the Tiananmen Vigil that has been what's going on in Hong Kong for more than 3 decades, right? And then they shut it down abruptly around COVID time. So it's good to show them the support as well. Yeah. But having said that, we look forward to seeing you in 20 days.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me today. And again, hosting me in a couple of weeks.